Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Martech Masters. I'm here today with Kerel Cooper. He is the CMO at LiveIntent, and he's also the founder and host at the Minority Report podcast. We are very excited to have you here, Kerel. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Gabriel. I'm glad to be here and looking forward to this conversation.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Glad you're here today. So, Kerel, talk a little bit about who you are. Why don't you do an introduction of what you're doing at LiveIntent? Maybe tell us a little bit about it, LiveIntent, but also tell us a little bit about your podcast, the Minority Report, and why did you start that podcast? Let's talk a little bit about where you are today.
Yeah, sure. So, like you said, I'm currently the Chief Marketing Officer at LiveIntent. For those out there who are not familiar with LiveIntent, we are a marketing technology company. We have a platform that is powered by the email address, and we help our customers, which are publishers and brands, with a suite of monetization and advertising solutions that help them acquire, retain, and monetize their audience, all within email newsletters. The company is about 12 years old. Like I said, we work with over 2,500 publishers and brands to provide them services and solutions. As far as my role goes at LiveIntent, I'm the head of the marketing team as CMO, and really my main goal and job is to make sure that our marketing strategy connects with and is in support of our business mission and goals. And I've been in this position. I've been CMO since the beginning of the year, but I've been leading the marketing team for close to 3 years now. In terms of Minority Report podcast, it's a podcast that is also about 3 years old now. Started by my buddy and I. His name is Eric Rickeden. And essentially, it's a podcast where we highlight people of color, women, LGBTQ plus community, and other underrepresented groups, all within business, media, and technology. It's a weekly podcast at this point, and really the conversations are really about getting to know the individual. So we talk a lot about their family background, their culture, their beliefs, their upbringing, what got them into the industry and the job that they're into today, their thoughts on diversity, equity, and inclusion, career advice. We talk about their career journey and a lot more. So it's part business, but also part personal as well too.
That's awesome. And we always love talking about what makes you, tick, and what is your passion, and, tell us a little bit more about that side of your life. It's what makes you passionate. What are you passionate about? It looks like, again, diversity and inclusion is one of your passions, but anything else you want to share in your personal life?
Yeah, sure. I mean, first and foremost, my family, right? So married for 18 years, have two kids as well too, two girls, a 12-year-old girl and a soon-to-be 4-year-old girl as well. And so super passionate about my family and setting a great example for my kids. So that is first and foremost. Secondly, my career and being a marketer. Although I've been in the ad tech and martech space now for over 20 years, I've really only been in the marketing side of our space for the last 4 years. So the first 14 years of my career I spent at publishers, most notably a local news publisher called Advanced Digital, where I led the ad operations team and a lot of our platform partnerships. And then I moved to LiveIntent in 2014. And my first couple of years at LiveIntent, I actually led the account management, which is now our customer success team as well too. And so I've had an interesting, I guess you could say, non-traditional path to the CMO position as well too. And so I am certainly a student of marketing, but I think regardless of whether you have 30 years of experience in marketing or 4 years of experience in marketing, you should always be a student. You should always be looking to learn. But I'm super passionate about being a marketing leader as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, tell us a little bit more about LiveIntent and what you guys do. I know you've been, you just got named one of the Business Insider's top ad tech companies, in multiple situations. So tell us a little bit more about that. What LiveIntent does. So people know more about the tool.
Yeah, sure. So first, I would say very honored and thankful to be named by Business Insider one of the hottest ad tech companies 2 years in a row. I think that speaks to the people that we have at LiveIntent. I think that speaks to how we work with our customers and provide real solutions for them to solve everyday business challenges and to help them grow their business as well too. And I also think that speaks to some of the innovation on the product side that we have going on at LiveIntent. And so, like I was saying before, we are 12 years old as a company. We really started out as a way of solving dynamic ad delivery and email newsletters for publishers, right? So before we existed, the way publishers would deliver ads within their email newsletters would be either to hard code them in, or set them up, sell them as like share of voice or sponsorships, and maybe track based on send volume, right? Our technology allowed publishers to be much more flexible in terms of the way they monetize their email inventory by using our platform and dynamically delivering campaigns based on impressions and not based on sends, but actually based on opens. And when you base, a campaign on opens, especially in the inbox, your performance is going to be much better for those campaigns because you're actually targeting a user that's actually engaged in their email newsletters, reading the content, and actually seeing the ads. And so that's how our company started out 12 years ago. What we've evolved into now is where we work with over 2,500 publishers and brands, again, to help them monetize, retain, and acquire audience within the inbox. And as the world is shifting here from a digital media perspective, and I'm talking about the death of the third-party cookie and publishers and brands really needing to hone in and nail down their first-party data strategy, we sit in a really good position to help our customers bridge that gap from a third-party world to a first-party world. Because if you think about it, this is what we've been doing for the last 12 years, right? The email address of subscriber to your newsletters, that's first-party data information that publishers and brands have, right? We operate in the inbox, and if you think about what the browsers are doing today in terms of removing third-party cookies, making sure that users consent to advertising, which is super important. That's an environment that we've worked in for the very beginning of our life. That is the inbox, right? Consent, privacy safe. Think of canned spam, and also again first party data. And so we are now continuing to do what we do within email, but also again helping our publishers and brands bridge that gap from a third-party world to a first-party world, and then thrive in that in the future.
That's awesome. We always talk about how important it is to own your audience. You don't ever actually own anything. People are either engaging or not, but if you have their email address and if you have their consent and if you're doing it right, and if you have good domain authority because you've been doing it right for a long time, then that is what you're trying to get to. What you're trying to get is to have an audience that wants to get your emails, that engages with your emails, that opens them, that clicks on them. And that is a very powerful way to push your message and to educate and to entertain people. Creating those audiences is going to be critical. It's been critical for years, but it's going to be even more critical now that ads are becoming harder, that there's so much misinformation out there and ads are being shown in all kinds of crazy websites. There's not so much control over ads anymore. So we see the use of email and the growth of email over time. I remember those blog entries that would say that email is dead and email marketing is dead, and email marketing will continue to grow more and more over the years. I like that you guys are talking about that. Anything to add about the email side of things?
Yeah, so I would say, to your point about controlling sort of the data or the users, you're right. There's no control there. Users can decide whether they want to opt in or opt out. And I love to say that when a user provides their email address to a brand or a publisher, the user is doing that and they are expecting to get something in return of value, whether it's content, product, whatever it may be. And to me, that is the best sort of digital handshake that a consumer and a brand and a publisher can have. And at any point, if the consumer feels that they are not getting the value that they wanted out of that brand or publisher, they can end the contract by hitting the unsubscribe button, right? So I firmly believe that. I also believe too, to your point about building up a first party data strategy, to your point about building up a great subscriber database, that is a great way for publishers and brands to really control their own destiny moving forward, right? So it's less about controlling the data, but more about providing a service that your consumers want to consume on a regular basis, and by doing so, controlling your own destiny in the future.
Yeah, and not relying on what YouTube or Facebook or Google are going to do in the future. And they might be like, well, we're not going to show these anymore. Try to get some organic Facebook recognition right now. Try to get anybody
Yeah.
to see your post in the organic Facebook world. It doesn't exist. If you don't
Right.
pay, nobody sees it. So again, those are things that have been happening over time. So owning your audience and investing in email marketing is definitely one of the priorities for marketers out there. That makes total sense. So let's go back a little bit to your brand affinity marketing efforts and how you've been using this. First of all, on the LiveIntent side of things, and also on your podcast. Let's talk a little bit about your podcast. How did that start? Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you've been helping these communities get some recognition out there.
Yeah, so the way the podcast started was really Eric, my co-founder and co-host on the podcast. He called me up one evening and he said, "Listen, man, you and I have both discussed this in the past, discussed sort of, our frustrations with going to conferences and maybe being the only two men of color there or very few men of color. And then on top of that, seeing even less of us on stage at these events. And I want to change that. And so the idea was, let's create a platform where we can start to highlight people from underrepresented groups." And he asked me what I thought of the idea, and I told him I love the idea. And he said, "Great. Do you want to co-host it with me?" Absolutely, absolutely. And literally after maybe one or two more conversations, we came up with Minority Report podcast. We felt that at the time, and still believe this today, that podcasting is the best way to get this content out there and distribute it. Like I said, we started 3 years ago. It's been an awesome journey. We've just recorded our 85th episode earlier this week. And what's two things I think have been really cool about the journey of the podcast. One is when we interview someone that maybe we've known for a long time in the space, we learn something new about the person, right? Because so much of the space is, the person that you know from 9 to 5, the business side, right? And like I said earlier, we're really sort of getting into understanding who the real person is. And so learning new about someone that I've known for a long time, it's been super important. And then the flip side of that is because of how the podcast has grown in popularity, the new people that I don't know personally that are on the show, and just sort of expanding our network and bringing new people on the show and learning about them has been awesome as well too. And at the end of the day, our end goal is to try to create one of the largest catalogs of content of underrepresented leaders in business, media, and technology, and put it out there for the world. And because part of when Eric and I were coming up in the industry, we didn't have many people that look like us that we could reference, right? And so that's what we want to do with this catalog, is provide a reference point for really anyone out there.
That's a great mission, and I really appreciate you putting the work. And I know we need people like you that will put it out there, and what we can do is to amplify that as much as possible. We'll share it right here, we'll put it on the blog, and we'll share it on social media, and we'll make sure that we continue to support these kind of efforts to get more people represented. And I have 4 kids, and they all, we all look different, and we all have different things, and you never know what your kids are going to do in their life. But definitely,
Right.
One of the things that we have been talking for years is representation is so important. So if you're
Yes.
either LGBT or you're not, that again, in the software world, is like the white dude is everywhere, right? So how about we represent everybody? How about we
Right.
bring people of color? How about we bring people from all over the world and immigrants and LGBT community and more women? Hello, right? Like
Right. Right.
it's such an important thing. We had a great episode with Katie Burke from HubSpot. She runs all
Mm.
their diversity programs, and she was talking about how important it is not just talking about this as a hiring situation, which is very important to make it a
Yes.
priority, but also it could be all the other aspects. Podcast, bring everybody to the podcast, not the same five people over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
You're reading books, you're recommending books. Recommend books written by all kinds of people, right? Like every single little thing could be something that makes it different.
Right.
And we really appreciate you being here and you doing the Minority Report. Please check the podcast, guys, and we'll definitely share it everywhere. So let's talk about a little bit about your other efforts. You're running some video series. You started working on these video series as webinars for LiveIntent. So tell us a little bit about that journey. I think that's very interesting that you took the approach of making webinars, it makes sense because again, pandemic, you need to take events into webinars. So why don't we take that into a video series? Tell us a little bit of that journey. I think it's very fascinating that you went through the whole process there.
Yeah, yeah. So let's go back to the beginning of 2020, right? And I think coming into the year, companies, marketers, everyone had plans for the year, and obviously, COVID and moving to a work from home situation threw all those plans up in the air, right? And so for us at Live Intent, we sat down and we said to ourselves, okay, we're not going to in-person events this year, or at least for the foreseeable future. At the time, that was our thinking. In-person events are one of our greatest revenue generators from a marketing perspective, one of our greatest ways to get return on our investment, right? So how are we going to replace that? Because at the end of the day, from a marketing perspective, regardless of whether pandemic or not, I still had goals that I had to accomplish, right? Our team still had work that needed to be done. And so we immediately thought of, let's start a weekly webinar series and really use that webinar series to invite a thought leader in from the space to talk about a topic that's most relevant for marketers and publishers. Anything from programmatic to identity to attribution and measurement, so on and so forth. We could also use the podcast as a way to, again, stay top of mind to our customers and prospects during the work from home situation, and also to use it as ways of educating the marketplace. And so after a few more conversations and planning, we came up with what we call RTB, which stands for Real Time Banter. That was the name for our weekly webinar series, and still is today. And we started that really right around the same time last year, so probably about a year ago. Started off as like I said, a weekly webinar series every Friday, and just having some lighthearted conversations, again, about topics that publishers and marketers and brands really care about. As we got closer into the summer months and we started to see Zoom fatigue set in, and people maybe not attending webinars as much and maybe not engaging as much, we cut back a little bit and we went to a schedule of every other week, right? And then after once we got through 2020, we sort of sat down at the end of the year, looked back at all the episodes that we produced. I think we ended up producing somewhere around 15 episodes or so, and decided, okay, going into 2021, again, work from home situation, not going to be in person. We know that we're going to double down on sort of our content strategy and content marketing, because it's going to be key to us for what we want to do from a marketing perspective. Where does real-time banter fit into that? And what we've decided to do this year is change the format to a monthly schedule, but do pre-recorded episodes instead of live episodes. And what this is giving us the ability to do is really plan out the topics a bit more with the guest and go a level or two deeper into the conversations, where then we can break up the conversations into specific segments that are covering specific topics, right? So it's still helping us accomplish the brand awareness that we want in the marketplace and being seen as a thought leader and an educator. It's still helping us bring in thought leaders to have these conversations with, right? So expanding our LiveIntent network. And then at the same time, it's allowing us to produce additional pieces of content off of the video, which again we can use to post a video on our blog, on our social channels, on YouTube, distributed through our email channels, so on and so forth.
That's great. That's great. So you guys use Wistia and Wistia channels for this, right?
Yes.
That's
yes,
awesome. So my next question is usually the same one for everybody. How do you measure success on these video marketing, brand affinity, podcast efforts? I know there are many different layers of, tracking that you can do on a podcast level. You have listens or actually downloads, which makes absolutely no sense, but that's okay. It's what it is.
Yeah.
It's what they still call them. But then you have the video side of things. Tell me a little bit about your strategy, how you measure success, how you make decisions. You just talked about your journey. You started with webinars, turning into video series and weekly, and then we went to bi-monthly, and now we're doing pre-recorded. How do you make those decisions? Is that a part of that decision-making process?
Yeah, so I don't think there's one specific metric or one specific item that we use to make those decisions. It's looking at a number of different things. So again, going from weekly to bi-weekly, right? We looked at sort of the drop off in not registrations, but attendance of the actual live sessions, right? And so that was a metric that we used, right? As we got deeper into the year and looked at, again, the overall body of work in 2020, I think what ranked high for us in terms of going from bi-weekly to monthly and then pre-recorded versus the live is, again, there's a lot of competition that's out there right now for live webinars, Zoom, and again, I still think the Zoom fatigue is very real, right? And so I think about my own way of attending live sessions. I rarely attend live sessions. What I will do, though, is if there's content that I'm interested in, I will register for it, get the video afterwards, and then watch it on my own time, right? And I gotta imagine a lot of people are doing that. So if that's the case, why even spend resources and energy trying to pull off a live event and market it up front when you can take your time, do it right, go a level or two deeper, have additional pieces of content, and then put it out in the marketplace? So it was a switch from utilizing marketing resources up front to get people in versus now utilizing those marketing resources more on the back end to push the content out. And so I think that was part of the decision. Obviously, we also look at plays. I think we also, not I think, I know we also look at our SEO strategy as well too. Again, being able to take a long form video and chop it up into different pieces of content that have different titles and subject lines and additional written content helps from an SEO perspective as well too. So I think all those things actually go into the mix in deciding whether or not we want to pivot a strategy and what success looks like. I will also say, going back to one of your earlier questions about marketing in general, this is one of the reasons why I love marketing is that you can test things. You have to pivot based on the data that you're getting back. You're not going to really know if something works until you try it out. And so I love that side of marketing as well too.
It's great that you mentioned that, because the more we interview people that are doing it right, that are testing it out there, that are running, video series and podcasts over years, the more we realize that there is no answer to how do you measure success. And nobody is saying, yeah, this video brought these 2 customers and these 2 videos brought $3 million. There is no way to connect the dots so directly because, and that is not a bad thing, because at the end of the day, these brand affinity efforts, these video marketing efforts and podcast efforts are not just going to create leads and, generate leads and close customers, even though the more you analyze, the more you see that there is a correlation that people that watch video close at a higher rate, that people that watch video make more decisions and before they made a decision, they usually watched a video. All those things are very fun to actually evaluate. And the more you
Yeah.
the more you use tools like Wistia or HubSpot, the more you can connect
Mm-hmm.
the dots and understand how those things are affecting your lead generation and customer acquisition strategy. But this is so much more than that. There is a
Yeah.
branding aspect to it. There is a brand affinity aspect, and people spending time with your brand affects the way they buy or consume your content. So how do you guys think about that? Do you have do you intentionally think about the branding effect of these efforts?
Oh, absolutely. And to your point, we think about it across multiple touch points, right, as well. So you're right. It's not just about what the real time banter series can drive in terms of leads. You have to look at your marketing strategy holistically. You have to look at search, right? You have to look at paid and organic. You have to look at social. You have to look at paid and organic. You have to look at the events that you're doing, whether it's virtual or in person. And on top of that, additional speaking opportunities that you may be able to get for certain people within your organization. You have to look at those things, right? Like you have to put all those things together and look at your customers and prospects across those various touch points. Now, there are tools you can use to say, okay, this opportunity that closed, we understand that they were exposed to our ad in search. They spoke to us at an event. They watched our video. They downloaded one of our ebooks. We certainly look at metrics like that because that's a way for us to determine, okay, which of these different touch points are more effective, or which of these different touch points we see more and more prospects coming through. So yeah, it's definitely not just one thing. It's the entire sort of plan from a marketing perspective, and looking at it holistically.
Yeah, and one interesting thing that we can keep seeing out there is that people that fail at these efforts, or people that don't really do it right, or they stop doing it, is usually because they're focusing too much in the short-term return
Yes.
of these
Yeah.
efforts, and they're not seeing these efforts as a long-term effort, and they're not seeing that consistency is the key to all these things. The
Yeah.
journey you just talked about is teaching, again, once more, everybody that things will evolve. We get better at these things. We get better at introducing and interviewing people. We get better at talking and bringing new points to the conversation. We get better at video. We get better at the sound part of it. Like, you get continuously get better at what you're doing.
Hmm.
And then your audience teaches you what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, by engaging or not with this or that piece of content. So then you can go back and learn from that, like you guys did, into, from webinars every week, from webinars to now pre-recorded every month. And I see that journey happening with everybody that has been doing it for many years has been evolving and changing and learning over the years. And the success doesn't come from knowing from the first second that you started what to do, but actually doing it
Yeah, yeah.
consistently.
I will also say though, to your point, right, about the long term journey of marketing, right? I think that that is, at least for me, that's part of the challenge, but also the excitement of marketing, right? Because yes, we set out every year with annual goals and things that we want to achieve as a marketing team. But in order to get to, what we want to achieve at the end of the year, there has to be certain milestones throughout the year that get us there, right? And so there is that balance of the long-term vision, where we want to go, making sure our messaging and our brand is consistent over the long haul so that we don't confuse people in the marketplace, but at the same time making sure that we're doing the marketing operations and doing the things we need to do day to day to hit those, not only the milestones but then your long-term goals as well too.
Yeah, this is great. And thank you for sharing all these things about your journey. Anything else you want to share about these experiences with long term video and SEO and podcast efforts?
I would say to any marketer out there, my advice would be again, make sure your messaging is consistent over the long haul, because if you are constantly pivoting or changing, you're going to do more damage than good. You're just going to confuse the marketplace. So consistency, yes, evolving and testing out different types of platforms and different strategies, but make sure that the message continues to be consistent over the long haul.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Any other brands that you've seen out there doing this effectively? Any other brands that you really like or that you follow them on podcasts or video series out there?
Yeah. So there's one in particular called Bevel, which is a grooming company for people of color,
That's
right? So
awesome.
I use their shaving kits and their razors. I use some of their other skin products as well too. I think that they do an awesome job at their brand. I think they do an awesome job at investing in content as well too, to keep people engaged with the brand. So they are someone that is top of mind for me.
That's great. That's great. Now, as you know, we want to continue to explore diversity and inclusion in our show. So, anybody that you recommend that people should listen to, any podcasts out there other than the Minority Report, of course, and we'll share all of that. Anybody else that needs to be showcased and needs more attention?
Yeah, so there is a podcast out there by a lady. Her name is Janice Gassam, and her podcast, I believe, is called Dirty Diversity. So she's a diversity and inclusion consultant. I would highly recommend checking that out. That's a good one. CMO Moves is another good podcast that I love to listen to as well too. That's a good one. In terms of sort of other sort of thought leaders in the space, Stephanie Gino, who is the senior vice president of marketing over at Innovid, I think she is awesome to follow. I would recommend you having her as a guest on the
That's awesome. We'll
podcast
check it
here.
out.
She would be awesome. She and I connect on a regular basis just to exchange marketing notes and to support each other.
That's great. That's great. Anybody, that wants to follow, we'll of course put all the links, but where can people find your content out there?
Yeah, so I would say first and foremost, you can follow me on LinkedIn. If you're interested in learning more specifically about LiveIntent and how we can help you with your marketing or monetization needs, you can check us out at liveintent.com, or just email me directly. That's fine too, at kcooper@liveintent.com. And for Minority Report Podcast, minorityreportpodcast.com, and you can check out any of the episodes that we have live.
That's awesome. Thank you, Kerel, for being here today and for doing everything you're doing and for giving a space for all these voices to be heard and give them a chance to spread the word. And we will do our part. We'll do as much as we can to do that and continue to help. And of course, anything we can do on our end that we can do to help your mission, I'll be more than happy to help too. Anything else you want to share with us? This is your moment. Whatever it is that you want to promote, it's your time.
No, I mean, I think that covers it. Definitely check us out at LiveIntent for your marketing needs. And if you want to learn more about Minority Report Podcast, hit up the website.
Thank you, Kerel, and stay safe, okay? Take care.
All right. Thank you, Gabriel.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.